Okay, Jordan, I'm going to have a look at your practice tests and we're going to actually talk about what we can see. So you started off with question 1A and B, and what you needed to do in question 1 was calculate the hypotenuse, or the one opposite the right angle, and that's fine. You just copied a number down wrong here, that's fine, that's not a big deal. The rest of it's all correct, but I want you to be really careful. When you get down to the bottom of the problem, what you start to find is this square root has to disappear. So you've got c squared up here, but what you're trying to find at the end of it by square rooting it, or doing that on your calculator, is plain old c. So just c, not c squared, but c. So when you use the square root sign, you have to then make this answer as just plain c. All your numbers are right, the maths is right. You've just done that twice, so you did that down on this section as well. Okay. So you do the exact same thing. It's not a big deal, but I want you to get the correct wording and the correct communication right. Okay, so have a look at our second side. Now in these problems, you had to calculate the angle. You know exactly what to do with the angle. What I would just like to remind you of is the correct way to set it out. Now the setting out isn't going to mean anything unless you get the labeling of the sides right. So we're not going to look at this one here because you've actually incorrectly labeled the sides, which means you've chosen the wrong rule. So that's going to be a problem. But if we come down here and look at this second one, much better labeling means that you have chosen the correct rule. That's good. But I want you to watch me set it out. So this bit's totally correct. That's your normal rule. That's also perfectly fine. But when you have to do the inverse sine part, it's really got to look like this. Theta equals inverse sine of your 3/9. Okay, theta is now on its own because that's what we're trying to find, and the inverse sine appears on the other side of the equal sign. And then you've typed it into your calculator right because you've got the correct answer. So you know what you're doing, just want you to watch out for the setting out. Let's flip it over. Okay, you're calculating trigonometry with finding short sides, so not the long side. I love that you've drawn that line there to prove that that is C. Perfect, all the way down, perfect setting out. You've done it twice, okay? Your second question is exactly the same. It's really good. Very, very impressed with that. Well done. That's actually really tricky. Now this part here, when we come to our calculating side lengths, once again, if you're mislabeling the sides, it's going to be a problem and you're going to choose the wrong rule. Apart from that, all you're setting out is perfect, okay, but the rule is incorrect. So I'm going to set you 3 things to do. 3 things. Number 1, check your example working out and the videos for calculating the hypotenuse. Okay, that's Pythagoras, so the first bunch of sections. Practice your trigonometry side labeling. That is going to stop you from choosing the wrong rule. And the last one, I want you to complete the questions on the final revision exam this weekend, please. All right?